Move your ghetto trash out of first class now! Jessica Hartwell spits the words like venom. Blonde hair pulled tight, airline uniform pressed sharp, power radiating from every gesture. Sarah Mitchell remains motionless. Cream silk blouse flowing elegantly, spine straight, expensive leather briefcase balanced on her lap. Her Louis Vuitton suitcase sits perfectly beneath seat 2A. Jessica's boot slams into the designer luggage. The violent kick sends it flying across the cabin floor, skidding past rows of shocked passengers. Confidential papers explode from the opening, scattering like confetti. "Your kind doesn't belong here," Jessica snarls, loud enough for everyone to hear. "This is first class, not food stamps." The entire cabin freezes. 30 passengers stare in horror. Sarah's lips curve into a slight smile, calm, knowing, dangerous, like someone holding aces while her opponent shows their hand. Continental Airways Flight 401 represents luxury in motion. The Boeing 777's first-class cabin stretches 12 rows, each seat wrapped in buttery Italian leather. Overhead bins gleam with polished chrome handles. The aisle carpet bears subtle gold threading that catches ambient lighting. Morning sunlight streams through oval windows, casting geometric patterns across passenger faces. The air carries hints of fresh coffee brewing in the galley, mixed with expensive perfumes and the clean scent of new leather. Flight attendants move with practiced silence, their footsteps muffled by thick carpeting. Gate announcements echo faintly through the terminal connection. Continental Airways Flight 401 to New York JFK, scheduled departure 9:45 a.m. Digital displays show on-time status in crisp blue letters. The captain's voice crackles over the intercom, welcoming passengers aboard with professional warmth. Sarah Mitchell embodies quiet authority. Her cream silk blouse drapes perfectly, no wrinkles despite the early morning travel. Diamond stud earrings catch cabin light with each subtle movement. Her briefcase bears gold monogramming, SM, in elegant script. Documents spread across her tray table show quarterly financial reports marked Confidential Continental Airways Board of Directors. She reviews revenue charts with focused concentration, occasionally making notes with a Mont Blanc pen. Her phone buzzes silently with notifications. Executive Assistant, Board Meeting 2 p.m., and CFO Martinez, Q3 numbers ready. Despite her expensive accessories, she radiates approachability, offering polite nods to passing crew members. The Louis Vuitton suitcase beneath her seat represents more than luggage. Authentic stitching, quality hardware, subtle monogram SMM embossed in gold. Every detail screams success earned through years of dedication. It sits precisely where Federal Aviation Administration regulations require, positioned with the care of someone who follows rules instinctively. Marcus Thompson occupies seat 3A, his Wall Street Journal folded to financial pages. Silver-rimmed glasses reflect morning light as he reads. His charcoal suit speaks of boardroom meetings and million-dollar decisions. A Rolex Submariner adorns his wrist, its face catching occasional glints from overhead lighting. Margaret Whitman knits quietly in seat 1B, her practiced fingers working pale blue yarn into intricate patterns. Her gray hair swept into an elegant chignon, pearls gleaming at her throat. She observes everything through sharp blue eyes that miss nothing. A lifetime of traveling first class has taught her to recognize both genuine class and its imitations. Diego Ramirez settles into seat 4A with his 8-year-old daughter, Sophia. His laptop bag bears his company logo, marking him as a successful tech consultant. Sophia clutches a tablet loaded with educational games, her school backpack decorated with rainbow stickers. They whisper in Spanish about cloud formations visible through the window. Jessica Hartwell commands attention through sheer presence, but for all the wrong reasons. 8 years with Continental Airways should have meant advancement to international routes, prestigious assignments, recognition. Instead, she remains trapped on domestic flights while younger colleagues soar past her career-wise. Her uniform tells the story of someone trying too hard, blouses pressed to military precision, but creases appear at stress points. The name tag sits perfectly centered, but polish on her shoes shows scuff marks. She carries herself with forced authority, overcompensating for professional stagnation with aggressive rule enforcement. Brenda Collins, her colleague, moves with genuine professionalism. 15 years of experience shows in her smooth efficiency, checking passenger needs without intrusion. She notices Jessica's growing agitation but hesitates to intervene, recognizing the dangerous mood building like storm clouds. The cabin atmosphere hums with pre-flight energy. Business travelers tap laptops, reviewing presentations for New York meetings. A pharmaceutical executive studies clinical trial data. Investment bankers discuss market trends in hushed tones. Everyone belongs here through merit, hard work, or legitimate purchase of premium tickets. Continental Airways promotional videos play on overhead screens, showcasing diverse executives and inclusive company values. The irony will become apparent soon enough. In-flight magazines feature articles about record company growth under new leadership, though passengers barely glance at the publications. Jessica patrols the aisle with predatory focus, scanning for infractions that justify her authority. Her eyes linger on passengers of color, searching for reasons to assert control. She whispers to Brenda about certain types who probably can't afford to be here, her prejudice barely concealed beneath a professional facade. The stage is perfectly set. Luxury surrounding them, regulations clearly posted, witnesses in abundance. Sarah continues reading financial reports, unaware that her peaceful morning is about to explode into a confrontation that will change everything. Denver's skyline gleams through windows as the aircraft prepares for pushback. What happens next will redefine not just these two women's lives, but an entire industry's approach to dignity and respect. Jessica approaches Sarah's row with calculated aggression. Her heels strike the cabin floor in sharp staccato beats, each step announcing her authority. Other passengers glance up from their devices, sensing tension building like pressure before a storm. "Ma'am!" Jessica's voice carries artificial sweetness layered over steel. "I need to see your boarding pass immediately." Sarah looks up from her financial reports, eyebrows raised slightly. "Is there a problem? Your luggage placement violates federal regulations." Jessica gestures dramatically at the perfectly positioned suitcase. First-class passengers receive proper instruction on baggage stowage. The implication hangs heavy. Sarah produces her boarding pass with unhurried grace. Seat 2A, first class, as assigned. Jessica snatches the document, examining it with theatrical suspicion. She holds it toward the overhead light, checking for forgeries that don't exist. Her performance draws attention from nearby passengers, exactly as intended. Boarding passes can be transferred, upgraded through various programs. Jessica's voice grows louder, ensuring maximum audience. "I need additional verification that you're authorized for this seating." Marcus Thompson lowers his newspaper with a sharp rustle. "Excuse me, but this is completely inappropriate." Jessica whips around, uniform crisp with authority. "Sir, please don't interfere with crew duties. I'm handling a passenger compliance situation." Her dismissal stings with condescension. Marcus's jaw tightens, but he remains seated, recognizing the dangerous dynamic unfolding. Sarah retrieves her driver's license with patient dignity. Will this suffice? Jessica studies the identification with exaggerated scrutiny, making Sarah wait while other passengers complete their boarding routines. The delay tactics scream of deliberate humiliation. She holds the license at arm's length, squinting as if detecting sophisticated forgeries. Sarah Mitchell. Jessica pronounces each syllable with skeptical emphasis. "Interesting. What exactly do you do for work, Miss Mitchell?" The question drips with implication. Sarah maintains her composure despite the obvious racial undertones. "I work in aviation." Jessica's laugh carries sharp edges. "Aviation? Like baggage handling, ground crew maintenance, TSA screening?" She emphasizes each menial job with growing satisfaction, believing she's exposing Sarah's deception. Something like that. The understatement floats between them, but Jessica misses its significance entirely. Her prejudice blinds her to subtle warnings. "Well, your aviation job clearly doesn't pay enough for authentic designer luggage." Jessica kicks the Louis Vuitton suitcase again, harder this time. The expensive leather scrapes against metal seat supports with an ugly grinding sound. Several passengers gasp at the blatant assault on expensive property. The designer bag shows scuff marks from Jessica's deliberate abuse. Margaret Whitman's knitting needles pause mid-stitch. Her sharp blue eyes narrow with disapproval. "Young lady, that bag is obviously genuine. I've owned several myself over 40 years of travel." Jessica's face flushes with defensive anger. "Ma'am, respectfully, counterfeit goods have become extremely sophisticated. Not everyone can afford real Louis Vuitton." Her voice carries clear implications about who belongs in first class and who doesn't. The racist subtext becomes impossible to ignore. What I find suspicious, Jessica continues, pacing around Sarah like a predator circling prey, is how someone in your position suddenly has designer luggage, first-class tickets, expensive jewelry. She points at Sarah's diamond earrings and Patek Philippe watch with obvious skepticism. Diego Ramirez discreetly activates his phone camera, sensing the situation escalating beyond normal customer service disputes. His daughter Sophia watches with wide, confused eyes. "Daddy, why is the flight lady being mean?" Sophia whispers in Spanish. "Sometimes adults make bad choices, mija." Diego responds quietly, keeping his camera steady. Jessica overhears the Spanish conversation and her expression hardens further. "Sir, recording airline personnel is against federal regulations during security procedures." "Actually, it's not." Diego's voice remains calm but firm. "This is a public space, and I have every right to document what I'm witnessing." "What you're witnessing is proper security protocol," Jessica snaps. "This passenger's story doesn't add up. Aviation worker with luxury accessories? Please." Jessica's authority challenges mount from multiple directions. Rather than retreat, she doubles down with increasing desperation. "I have reasonable suspicion that this passenger's documentation may be fraudulent." She speaks loudly enough for the entire cabin to hear. "Stolen identity, credit card fraud, possibly stolen goods. These accusations hang in the air like poison." Several passengers shake their heads in disgust at Jessica's behavior. Brenda Collins approaches nervously, her face flushed with embarrassment. "Jessica, maybe we should contact the supervisor." "Whose side are you on, Brenda?" Jessica snaps, her professional facade cracking completely. "I've been doing this job for 8 years. I recognize suspicious circumstances when I see them." She turns back to Sarah with renewed aggression. "You know what I think? I think you're running some elaborate scam. Fake documents, stolen luggage, probably using someone else's credit card for this ticket." Sarah stands gracefully, her height and presence commanding despite Jessica's aggressive posturing. "Those are serious criminal accusations. I hope you're prepared to substantiate them." "Oh, I am." Jessica steps closer, invading personal space with intimidation tactics. "Because I'm seeing a pattern here. Wrong seating section, expensive items inconsistent with your appearance, evasive answers about employment." The cabin atmosphere grows electric with tension. Passengers stop their conversations, phones, and reading. Everyone senses they're witnessing something significant, though they can't yet grasp its full implications. "Your appearance?" Sarah's voice carries a dangerous quiet. "Could you clarify what you mean by that?" Jessica realizes she's ventured into obviously racist territory, but her pride prevents retreat. "I mean someone trying to project an image they can't actually afford, flying above their means, literally, pretending to be something you're not." Marcus stands up, his patience exhausted. "This is racial profiling, plain and simple. I'm documenting everything." Jessica whirls on him with fury. "Sir, return to your seat immediately or I'll have you removed from this aircraft for interfering with crew duties." "For what? Witnessing discrimination?" The word hangs in the cabin air like smoke. Discrimination. Everyone knows they're seeing it, but Jessica's uniform grants her perceived authority that makes intervention difficult. "I don't discriminate against anyone." Jessica's voice rises defensively. "I enforce regulations equally for all passengers, regardless of race." "Really?" Sarah's smile appears for the first time, small, knowing, dangerous. "In your 8 years of experience, have you ever kicked a white passenger's luggage?" The question cuts through Jessica's bluster like a blade. She opens her mouth, then closes it, realizing the trap. "Have you ever demanded additional identification from white passengers with first-class tickets?" Sarah continues relentlessly. Jessica's silence speaks volumes. Her prejudice stands exposed for everyone to witness. "Have you ever accused white passengers of credit card fraud based purely on their appearance?" Each question lands like a physical blow. Jessica's confident authority crumbles as passengers recognize the obvious double standard. Sophia tugs on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, the flight lady is being racist, isn't she?" Diego nods grimly. "Yes, mija, she is." Jessica's face flushes crimson. Don't put words in that child's mouth about situations she doesn't understand. I understand mean people, Sophia responds with 8-year-old honesty. Nervous laughter ripples through nearby passengers, further undermining Jessica's authority. Her desperation grows as she loses control of the situation. Fine. You want to play games? Jessica reaches for the intercom phone with theatrical drama. I'm calling the captain. We have a disruptive passenger situation requiring immediate security intervention. Sarah settles back into her seat, adjusting her cream silk blouse with unhurried grace. Her Louis Vuitton briefcase sits perfectly balanced on her lap, gold monogramming catching cabin light. By all means, Sarah says quietly, call the captain. Her tone suggests she knows something Jessica doesn't. The confidence in her voice carries weight that makes passengers lean forward with anticipation. Jessica punches the intercom button with aggressive force. Captain Morrison, this is Jessica. We have a code yellow in first class. Passenger with questionable documentation and highly suspicious behavior patterns. The captain's voice crackles back through speakers. Jessica, what specifically seems suspicious? Passenger claims aviation employment but displays luxury items completely inconsistent with typical industry salaries. Multiple indicators suggest possible fraud, identity theft, or stolen property situation. Sarah reaches into her briefcase and withdraws a simple business card, holding it calmly in her manicured fingers. Her slight smile grows as Jessica continues digging her professional grave deeper with every word. Captain Frank Morrison's voice echoes through the intercom with professional concern. Jessica, I'm reviewing the passenger manifest. Can you describe the specific violations you're observing? Jessica grips the phone tighter, her knuckles white against the black handset. Sweat beads form along her hairline despite the cabin's controlled temperature. The metallic taste of anxiety fills her mouth as adrenaline surges through her system. Sir, this passenger exhibits multiple red flags consistent with fraud patterns we've been trained to identify. She speaks loudly, ensuring every passenger hears her accusations. The theatrical performance feeds her need for validation and control. She claims employment in aviation but possesses luxury items far exceeding typical industry compensation levels. Designer luggage, expensive jewelry, first-class accommodations that don't match her profile. The pause before profile carries unmistakable racial implications. Several passengers exchange uncomfortable glances, recognizing the coded language of discrimination. The cabin's recycled air feels heavy with tension and unspoken accusations. Sarah remains seated with supernatural calm, her cream silk blouse unmarked by the confrontation. She adjusts her diamond earrings with deliberate precision, each movement calculated to project confidence. Her business card rests loosely between manicured fingers like a royal flush in a poker game. Furthermore, Jessica continues, her voice growing shriller with each word, she's been evasive about employment details and hostile toward legitimate security inquiries. I suspect stolen identity, fraudulent documentation, possibly organized criminal activity. The accusations escalate beyond reasonable suspicion into pure fantasy. Jessica's paranoia feeds on itself, creating elaborate conspiracy theories to justify her initial prejudice. Margaret Whitman sets down her knitting with sharp precision, the clicking needles falling silent. Her aristocratic features harden with genuine anger. Young lady, this is absolutely disgraceful behavior. I'm calling Continental Airways customer service immediately. She retrieves her phone with practiced efficiency, her fingers steady despite her obvious outrage. The threat of corporate involvement should worry Jessica, but her tunnel vision prevents rational thinking. Jessica whips around, her authority challenged from multiple directions. Ma'am, I am Continental Airways. I represent this company's standards and security protocols. Then God help this company, Margaret responds with aristocratic disdain. Her voice carries the weight of someone accustomed to being heard and respected. The insult strikes Jessica like a physical blow. Her face flushes deeper red as passengers begin openly criticizing her behavior. The validation she craved transforms into public humiliation. Brenda Collins hovers nearby, her face flushed with embarrassment and growing panic. 8 years of working alongside Jessica haven't prepared her for this level of public discrimination. Her uniform feels like a target, marking her as complicit in Jessica's behavior. Jessica, please. Brenda's whisper carries desperation. You're making a scene. This could go very badly for both of us. Both of us! Jessica's voice cracks with hysteria. I'm doing my job while you stand there enabling potential criminal activity. Whose side are you on? The accusation stings Brenda into defensive mode. I'm on the side of treating passengers with basic human dignity. Their professional relationship fractures publicly, adding another layer of drama to the escalating confrontation. Years of collegial cooperation evaporate in seconds. Diego continues recording with steady hands, his phone capturing every word and gesture. The device feels warm against his palm from extended use. His daughter Sophia presses closer to his side, sensing adult emotions she doesn't fully understand. "Daddy, why won't the mean lady stop being mean?" Sophia whispers, her voice carrying the confusion of innocence confronting ugliness. "Because some people choose anger over kindness, mija. But watch the pretty lady, see how calm she stays? That's real strength." Sophia nods solemnly, absorbing a life lesson about grace under pressure. Her young mind files away the contrast between Jessica's hysteria and Sarah's dignity. Jessica notices the ongoing recording and her paranoia intensifies. Technology represents exposure, accountability, consequences she's not prepared to face. "Sir, I'm ordering you to stop recording. You're interfering with federal security procedures." "These aren't security procedures," Diego responds calmly. "This is harassment, and I'm documenting it for legal purposes." "Legal purposes?" Jessica's laugh carries manic edges that make nearby passengers flinch. "You think threatening legal action will intimidate me? I know the law. I know my rights as airline personnel." Her confidence crumbles even as she proclaims it. Deep down, she realizes her behavior crosses professional lines, but pride prevents retreat. The hole she's digging grows deeper with every word. Marcus Thompson stands again, his imposing presence adding gravity to the situation. His expensive suit and confident bearing mark him as someone accustomed to authority and respect. "Jessica, I'm a criminal defense attorney. What you're doing constitutes harassment, discrimination, and possibly assault on this woman's property." Jessica's eyes narrow with suspicious hatred. "Of course you're a lawyer. Let me guess. Civil rights attorney specializing in frivolous discrimination lawsuits." The racist assumption hangs heavy in the recycled cabin air. Marcus's jaw tightens with controlled fury, his professional training warring with personal outrage. Corporate attorney, actually. But I know discrimination when I see it. Jessica snorts with derision, her last vestiges of professionalism abandoning her completely. Everyone's an expert on discrimination these days. Maybe if certain people didn't try to game the system constantly, we wouldn't need enhanced security measures. Her mask slips completely. The racism that drove her initial aggression now stands naked for everyone to witness. Gasps echo through the cabin as passengers process the blatant bigotry. An elderly businessman in seat 5A shakes his head in disgust. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. A young mother covers her toddler's ears, protecting innocent minds from toxic hatred. The childlike clarity of discrimination becomes impossible to deny or rationalize. Sarah finally speaks again, her voice carrying quiet authority that cuts through Jessica's hysteria. "Jessica, in your 8 years with Continental Airways, how many white passengers have you accused of credit card fraud?" The question lands like a physical blow. Jessica stammers, realizing the trap but unable to escape it. Her mouth opens and closes soundlessly, searching for justification that doesn't exist. That's not relevant. Each situation is evaluated individually based on specific circumstances and behavioral indicators. "What behavioral indicators?" Sarah presses relentlessly. "Sitting quietly in assigned seating, reading financial documents, following all posted regulations." Jessica's face flushes deeper red. Perspiration stains appear under her arms despite the cool cabin temperature. The behavioral indicators include expensive items inconsistent with stated employment, evasive responses to legitimate questions, and hostile attitude toward authority. Hostile attitude? Sarah's eyebrows rise with genuine amusement. "Could you provide specific examples of my hostility?" The cabin falls silent except for engine hum and Jessica's labored breathing. 30 passengers wait for her response, knowing she has none. The silence stretches uncomfortably, highlighting the absence of evidence. You're questioning my authority," refusing to cooperate with security procedures, acting like rules don't apply to you. Each accusation sounds weaker than the last. Jessica's voice lacks conviction, betraying her awareness of the situation's absurdity. What rules have I broken? Sarah's voice remains maddeningly calm, each word precisely enunciated. Jessica gestures wildly at the Louis Vuitton suitcase, now showing visible scuff marks from her attacks. Improper luggage placement, suspicious documentation, fraudulent identity claims. My luggage sits exactly where federal regulations require it. My documentation is authentic and current, and I haven't claimed any identity except my own. Each response demolishes Jessica's accusations with surgical precision. The flight attendant's authority evaporates as passengers recognize her baseless paranoia. Then explain the expensive accessories. Jessica's voice cracks with desperation. Aviation workers don't wear Patek Philippe watches. How do you know what aviation executives earn? Sarah counters smoothly. The word executives hangs in the air like a warning bell. Several passengers lean forward, sensing approaching revelation. Captain Morrison's voice crackles through the intercom again. Jessica, I need you to come to the cockpit immediately for a private discussion. Jessica's face goes pale. A summons to the cockpit during this situation can only mean trouble. Her career prospects flash before her eyes like a drowning person's life review. Sir, I can't leave my post. This passenger represents a security threat that requires constant monitoring. Jessica, come to the cockpit, now! The captain's tone brooks no argument. Years of military training echo in his authoritative command. Jessica realizes her position is becoming untenable. Fine, but I want this passenger's belongings secured until I return. No one touches anything until security arrives. She points at the scattered documents from Sarah's briefcase, still visible from her earlier assault on the luggage. Important papers lie crumpled on expensive carpeting, violated by her aggressive search. Sarah stands gracefully, her full height revealing elegant proportions that command natural respect. She towers over Jessica, despite the flight attendant's attempts at intimidation. Actually, Jessica, before you speak with the captain, there's something you should know. Her tone carries weight that makes every passenger lean forward with anticipation. The business card gleams between her fingers like a winning lottery ticket, promising revelations that will change everything. What? Jessica snaps, her patience completely exhausted. Sweat drips down her spine as stress overwhelms her system. You might want to look at this first. Sarah extends the business card with fluid grace, her movement carrying the confidence of someone holding unbeatable cards. Jessica snatches it aggressively, her sweaty fingers leaving marks on the pristine cardstock. She reads with the same theatrical suspicion she's applied to everything else, but her expression transforms as comprehension dawns. Jessica's eyes scan the business card once, twice, 3 times. The embossed letters blur as her brain struggles to process impossible information. Her hands tremble like autumn leaves in the violent wind. Sarah Mitchell, Chief Executive Officer, Continental Airways. The words tumble from her lips in a whisper. Silence fills the cabin like thick fog. Every passenger turns to stare, conversations dying mid-sentence. Only engine hum and Jessica's ragged breathing remain audible. Sarah stands with fluid grace, her cream silk blouse catching light. That's correct. This is my airline. The statement detonates like a bomb. Marcus starts laughing, not mockingly, but with pure satisfaction of witnessing perfect justice. Oh my God, Marcus gasps. 8 years of experience, right? Margaret claps with sharp delight. Well, I declare, better than any movie. The business card slips from Jessica's fingers, fluttering to the floor like her career prospects. She stumbles backward, grabbing a seat as the magnitude crashes over her. Diego grins at his camera. Ladies and gentlemen, the flight attendant just discovered she's been harassing the CEO of her own airline. Sophia tugs her father's sleeve. Daddy, is the pretty lady the boss of the mean lady? Yes, mija. She's everybody's boss. Revelation ripples through the cabin like wildfire. Passengers turn to neighbors for explanation. Whispers and gasps create a symphony of shocked realization. Jessica's face cycles through emotions, shock, disbelief, terror. But Sarah's calm confidence makes denial impossible. Miss Mitchell, Jessica stammers, voice cracking. You're really the CEO? I am. It has been 3 months. Captain Morrison emerges from the cockpit, face going ashen when he recognizes Sarah. Miss Mitchell, I had no idea you were aboard. Panic fills his voice. What's happening here? His eyes surveyed scattered documents, damaged luggage, Jessica's trembling form, fascinated passengers. The pieces connect with horrifying clarity. Captain Morrison, Sarah acknowledges professionally. Your flight attendant conducted an unauthorized search of my belongings, made accusations of theft and fraud, and suggested I don't belong in first class. The captain's face goes green. She did what? Jessica finds a desperate voice. Captain, I didn't know. How was I supposed to know? She doesn't look like... I don't look like what, Jessica? Sarah's question carries a dangerous quiet. Jessica realizes she's about to voice racist thoughts that started this disaster. She clamps her mouth shut. Brenda steps forward with relief. Captain, I tried stopping her, told her she lacked authority to search bags. Is this true, Jessica? Captain Morrison's voice carries impending judgment. Jessica's support evaporates. I was following security protocols. Couldn't have known she was... What? Sarah interrupts gently. Successful? Accomplished? Capable of earning nice things? Each word lands like hammer blows. Jessica's worldview crumbles, confronting ugly reality. 8 years? Sarah continues conversationally. Have you ever kicked a white passenger's luggage? No, ma'am. Accused white passengers of stolen goods? No, ma'am. Suggested white passengers didn't belong in first class? Jessica can't speak. She shakes her head, tears forming as discrimination becomes undeniable. Power dynamics completely reverse. Jessica, who wielded a uniform like a weapon, stands powerless before her victim. Authority reveals itself as illusory. Sarah examines her damaged suitcase, noting scuff marks from Jessica's boots. She begins repacking scattered belongings with careful precision. This suitcase contains quarterly reports for today's board meeting, Sarah explains calmly, where I announce record profits and employee advancement opportunities. Jessica watches in horror as Sarah folds documents she'd handled roughly. The watch you questioned, board of directors' gift when I became CEO? She displays the Patek Philippe. These earrings, my grandmother's diamonds, passed through 3 generations. Each revelation drives irony deeper. Jessica attacked everything representing Sarah's legitimate success. Margaret addresses Jessica directly. I told you that was the real Louis Vuitton. I've carried them for 40 years. Marcus shakes his head. Saddest part? You probably serve successful black professionals daily, but prejudice blinds you. Sophia's innocent voice carries clearly. My daddy says judging skin color makes you miss important inside stuff. 8-year-old wisdom silences the cabin. Even Jessica recognizes profound truth in childish simplicity. Sarah places her suitcase beneath seat 2A, exactly where it belongs. She sits, adjusting silk blouse with complete composure. The irony, Jessica. I was traveling to finalize our diversity and inclusion initiative, ensuring all passengers and employees receive dignified treatment. Final thunderbolt hits. Jessica publicly discriminated against the person implementing anti-discrimination policies. Captain Morrison finds a strangled voice. Jessica, you're suspended immediately. Report to HR Monday. Frank, please, Jessica pleads. I made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. Sarah's smile appears, not cruel, but final. Jessica, racism isn't a mistake. It's a choice, and choices have consequences. The cabin erupts in spontaneous applause. Passengers who witness the discrimination celebrate its exposure. Jessica stands frozen, understanding her career just ended. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah addresses the cabin, I apologize for this disruption. Continental Airways is committed to investigating thoroughly and ensuring respectful treatment for all. More applause fills the space. Margaret beams with satisfaction. Marcus nods approvingly. Diego continues recording this historic moment. Sophia looks up at her father. The pretty lady won, right, Daddy? Yes, mija. Good always wins when people stand up for what's right. Jessica remains motionless, processing the complete destruction of her professional life. 8 years of employment, benefits, pension, all destroyed by 5 minutes of revealed prejudice. Sarah settles into her seat. Louis Vuitton properly stowed, dignity intact. She's transformed from victim to victor through grace under pressure. The reversal is complete. Captain Morrison's face drains of color as the full scope of the disaster becomes clear. His weathered hands shake slightly as he processes the career-ending implications. 23 years of unblemished service threatened by one crew member's racism. Miss Mitchell, on behalf of Continental Airways, I offer our deepest apologies. His voice carries genuine horror. This behavior is completely unacceptable. Sarah nods graciously while adjusting her cream silk blouse. Captain, I appreciate your response. However, I'm concerned this may not be an isolated incident. The implication hangs heavy. Captain Morrison's uncomfortable silence provides the answer. Jessica's behavior has a history. Jessica Hartwell, Captain Morrison announces formally, you are immediately suspended from duty without pay pending full investigation. You will deplane immediately and report to Human Resources Monday morning. Captain, please. Jessica's voice cracks with desperation. I've worked here for 8 years. I have a perfect safety record. I just made a judgment error. This wasn't a judgment error. Captain Morrison's voice hardens. This was discrimination captured on video by multiple passengers. The word video makes Jessica's stomach lurch. In today's digital world, viral footage destroys lives within hours. Diego steps forward, phone still recording. Miss Mitchell, I have the entire incident documented. Would you like me to share it with Continental Airways Corporate? Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Sophia bounces excitedly. Are you really the boss of the whole airplane company? Sarah kneels to Sophia's eye level, an expensive watch catching light. I am, and the most important part of my job is making sure every person feels welcome when they fly with us. Even mean people like her? Sophia points at Jessica with 8-year-old directness, especially then because it shows who we really are inside. Margaret rises with aristocratic dignity. Miss Mitchell, I'd like to provide a formal witness statement. That young woman's conduct was absolutely disgraceful. Marcus approaches with an extended business card. Marcus Thompson, corporate attorney. If you need witness testimony for legal proceedings, I'm completely available. His offer carries weight. A respected attorney volunteering to testify speaks volumes about Jessica's obvious guilt. 2 airport security officers board the aircraft. Officer Carter and Officer Williams survey the scene with professional assessment. We received reports of a passenger disturbance? Officer Williams asks. Actually, Captain Morrison corrects, we have an employee disturbance. This crew member needs immediate escort from the aircraft. Jessica's face crumbles as reality hits. Public humiliation, job loss, and now security escort. The trifecta of professional destruction. Officers, please, Jessica pleads. This is all a misunderstanding. I was doing my job. Officer Williams, a black man himself, recognizes the situation immediately. Ma'am, we'll need you to collect your belongings and come with us. Brenda approaches with Jessica's crew bag, maintaining professional distance. Here are your things, Jessica. The gesture feels like a final goodbye to their 8-year working relationship. Brenda's expression shows relief at separating herself from the toxic situation. Brenda, Jessica grasps desperately, tell them I'm not racist. Tell them I treat everyone the same. Brenda's silence speaks volumes. She can't lie to protect someone whose behavior she just witnessed. Passengers begin retrieving phones, posting initial social media updates. The incident starts its digital journey toward viral status. Sarah addresses the cabin with CEO authority. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to personally apologize for this disruption. Continental Airways is committed to investigating this matter thoroughly. Spontaneous applause erupts. Passengers appreciate witnessing accountability in real time. Captain Morrison escorts Jessica toward the aircraft door. Her legs feel unsteady, like walking through a nightmare she can't wake from. Miss Mitchell. Jessica turns for one last desperate appeal. Please don't fire me. I can't lose everything over this. Sarah's expression shows no anger, only sadness. Jessica, you didn't lose everything over this. You lost everything because of this. There's a difference. The distinction cuts deeper than rage would have. Jessica realizes her choices, not circumstances, created this disaster. As security escorts Jessica down the jet bridge, her Continental Airways career ends with each step. 8 years of employment terminated by 5 minutes of exposed prejudice. Captain Morrison returns, visibly shaken. Miss Mitchell, we'll need to delay departure briefly while we arrange a replacement crew. Of course, Captain. Take whatever time you need. A new flight attendant, Maria Santos, boards within minutes. Her first action is approaching Sarah with genuine respect. Miss Mitchell, it's an honor to serve you today. I'll personally ensure your comfort. The contrast between Maria's professionalism and Jessica's discrimination couldn't be starker. Sophia watches through the window as Jessica disappears into the terminal. Daddy, will the mean lady be okay? She'll have to learn from her mistakes, mija. That's how people grow. The aircraft prepares for departure, leaving behind wreckage of one woman's prejudice and triumph of another's dignity. Flight 401 finally pushes back from the gate, bound for New York with a valuable lesson learned about consequences and character. Diego's video explodes across social media platforms within hours of landing. The footage spreads like digital wildfire, capturing the moment racist assumptions collide with corporate reality. TikTok views climb past 2 million in 6 hours. Twitter hashtags #flight attendant racism and #Sarah Mitchell CEO trend globally. Social media users share the video with explosive commentary. When Racism Meets Karma, Flight Attendant Edition, garners 800,000 likes. The audacity of attacking the CEO's luggage on her own airline spreads across Instagram with 500,000 shares. Celebrity accounts amplify the story, turning Jessica's moment of prejudice into a national conversation. Major news outlets scramble to cover the breaking story. CNN's breaking news banner reads, Continental Airways CEO racially profiled by own employee in viral video. NBC's Today Show schedules emergency segments. The Washington Post assigns investigative reporters to examine systemic discrimination in the airline industry. Continental Airways corporate headquarters in Denver transforms into Crisis Central. Board Chairman William Bradford convenes emergency sessions as stock prices fluctuate wildly. The company's legal team, led by General Counsel Robert Carter, reviews potential liability issues while calculating financial exposure. This incident has generated over 5 million views across platforms, reports Crisis Communications Director Patricia Valdez. We're dealing with unprecedented public scrutiny. HR Director Maria Gonzalez presents devastating findings from Jessica's employment file. 3 previous informal complaints about discriminatory behavior, all involving passengers of color. Previous management handled them with verbal warnings only. The revelation sends shockwaves through the boardroom. Bradford's face darkens with anger. 3 incidents? Why wasn't she terminated earlier? The complaints were dismissed as misunderstandings, Gonzalez admits reluctantly. Previous leadership didn't take them seriously. The pattern of ignored complaints exposes systemic failures in Continental Airways' oversight procedures. Sarah's public humiliation represents the inevitable consequence of unchecked discrimination. Federal investigators mobilize rapidly. The Department of Transportation's Office of Civil Rights opens formal investigation under Civil Rights Act violations. Lead investigator James Murphy assembles a team to examine potential federal law violations. We have clear video evidence of racially discriminatory treatment by airline personnel. Murphy briefs his staff. This case could establish precedent for federal enforcement in transportation discrimination. The FBI's Civil Rights Division assigns Special Agent Lisa Chang to determine if hate crime statutes apply. Video evidence provides unprecedented documentation of discriminatory intent and action. Congressional attention amplifies quickly. Representative Angela Rodriguez, chair of the House Aviation Subcommittee, calls emergency hearings on airline discrimination. Her office issues statements demanding industry-wide accountability measures. This incident highlights pervasive discrimination in transportation industries, Rodriguez announces at press conferences. Congress must act to protect all Americans' right to travel with dignity. Senator David Washington introduces emergency legislation, the Equal Treatment in Air Travel Act. The proposed law mandates enhanced civil rights training, anonymous reporting systems, and federal oversight of airline discrimination complaints. Jessica's consequences multiply exponentially. Within 48 hours, she faces cascading professional and legal repercussions. Continental Airways terminates her employment for cause, eliminating all benefits and pension vesting. Her union representative, David Stone, delivers harsh reality. Jessica, the union cannot defend discrimination, Stone explains grimly. Your actions violated federal civil rights laws. We're withdrawing representation. Sarah's legal team, led by prominent civil rights attorney Michael Thornton, files a federal lawsuit seeking $2.5 million in damages. The complaint alleges intentional infliction of emotional distress, civil rights violations, and corporate negligence in employee supervision. Jessica's attempts to secure new employment fail repeatedly. Background checks reveal viral video footage, making her unemployable in customer service roles. Financial pressures mount as legal bills accumulate without income prospects. Celebrity support for Sarah builds momentum across entertainment and business communities. Oprah Winfrey tweets, "Grace, dignity, and leadership. At Sarah Mitchell CEO showed us how to respond to hatred with strength." LeBron James posts Instagram support. "This is what real leadership looks like. Respect to Sarah Mitchell for handling ignorance with class." Former President Barack Obama issued an official statement. Sarah Mitchell's response reminds us that progress comes not from anger, but from dignity and determination. The celebrity endorsements amplify the story's reach, transforming it from viral incident to cultural moment about race, power, and corporate responsibility. 6 months later, federal court proceedings begin in Denver. Judge Patricia Robinson, renowned for landmark civil rights decisions, presides over the high-profile case. Media coverage rivals major criminal trials. Lead prosecutor David Kim presents overwhelming evidence to the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this case concerns fundamental rights of all Americans to receive equal treatment regardless of race. Diego testifies with his viral video as primary evidence. "I started recording because my daughter asked why the flight attendant was being mean. I wanted to document discrimination for the world to see." His testimony proves devastating to Jessica's defense. The video's audio captures every racist comment, every aggressive action, every moment of deliberate humiliation. Margaret travels from Florida to provide witness testimony. At 74, her aristocratic bearing commands courtroom respect. "In my 7 decades, I've never witnessed such blatant public discrimination. That young woman's prejudice was absolutely shameless." Marcus takes time from his executive duties to testify. "As a black professional, I've experienced subtle discrimination throughout my career. But this was different. It was aggressive, public, and deliberately humiliating." Jessica's defense crumbles under overwhelming evidence. Public defender Sarah Martinez attempts mitigation strategies, arguing stress and misunderstanding rather than malicious intent. "My client made errors in judgment under workplace pressure," Martinez pleads. "She didn't intend discriminatory treatment." Prosecutor Kim demolishes the defense systematically. "Intent isn't required for civil rights violations. Impact determines guilt, and the impact here was devastating public humiliation based solely on race." Jessica's own testimony proves disastrous. Under cross-examination, she admits never treating white passengers with similar suspicion or aggression. "In 8 years, have you ever kicked white passengers' luggage?" Kim presses. "No." "Did you ever demand additional identification from white first-class passengers?" "No." "Did you ever suggest white passengers didn't belong in premium cabins?" "No." Each answer confirms the systematic nature of her discriminatory behavior. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous verdict finding Jessica liable for civil rights violations. Judge Robinson delivers a landmark sentence reflecting society's commitment to equality. "Miss Hartwell, your actions represent the worst impulses of American prejudice," Robinson states solemnly. "This sentence reflects our nation's commitment to equal treatment for all citizens." The sentence includes 18 months federal prison, 3 years supervised probation, $75,000 in fines, 1,000 hours community service with civil rights organizations, and permanent prohibition from airline industry employment. The verdict generates massive media coverage and public celebration. Social media explodes with #JusticeServed hashtags trending for days. Continental Airways stock price rises on positive public sentiment about corporate accountability. Industry-wide reforms follow immediately. Federal mandates require enhanced civil rights training for all airline employees. Anonymous reporting systems for discrimination complaints become mandatory. Regular audits of customer service interactions are implemented across the industry. Continental Airways emerges as an industry leader in inclusive practices. Under Sarah's leadership, customer satisfaction scores reach record highs, while employee diversity increases dramatically across all organizational levels. The case becomes a watershed moment, transforming airline industry culture and establishing new standards for corporate accountability and civil rights enforcement. 1 year later, Continental Airways headquarters in Denver gleams with transformation. The lobby features a diversity wall showcasing employees from every background, their stories celebrating merit over prejudice. Sarah's corner office overlooks the bustling airport where millions now travel with greater dignity. Sarah reviews Continental Airways' annual report with quiet satisfaction. Record profits of $45 billion, industry-leading customer satisfaction scores, and 95% employee approval ratings for inclusive workplace practices. The numbers tell a story of redemption through accountability. "Maria, schedule a meeting with our new pilot training class," Sarah instructs her executive assistant, Maria Gonzalez. "I want to personally welcome them." "Of course, Miss Mitchell. Your Harvard Business School case study interview is confirmed for tomorrow at 2 p.m. The incident has become required reading in business schools nationwide. The Continental Airways case teaches crisis leadership, institutional change, and the power of dignified response to discrimination. Customer testimonials flood social media daily. At Continental Air prove they stand for equality, not just profits, garners thousands of likes. Sarah Mitchell showed how real leaders turn crisis into positive change, spreads across platforms. Young professionals tweet, "This airline proved that diverse leadership benefits everyone." Diego Ramirez has become an unlikely civil rights advocate. His original video has been viewed over 50 million times across platforms and is featured in civil rights museums. Universities invite him to speak about the power of witnessing injustice. "That day taught my daughter that witnessing isn't enough. We must act," Diego tells Stanford University students. "Sometimes your phone camera becomes your most powerful tool for justice." Sophia, now 9, often accompanies her father to speaking engagements. Her innocent wisdom continues inspiring audiences. "My daddy says when people are mean because of skin color, good people have to help," she tells university crowds. "Even kids can help by telling adults what's wrong." Margaret Whitman serves on Continental Airways' Customer Advisory Board, representing senior travelers' interests. Her aristocratic voice now champions equality from within corporate structures. "Companies that treat all customers with dignity earn lifetime loyalty," she declares in board meetings. "We learned that lesson and must never forget it." Marcus Thompson was promoted to CEO of Denver Financial Group, partly due to moral courage demonstrated during the incident. His willingness to stand up for justice impressed his company's board of directors. "Standing up for what's right isn't always comfortable, but it's always necessary," he tells business magazines. Character matters more than comfort in leadership decisions. Industry transformation data proves the incident's lasting impact. Discrimination complaints have dropped 60% industry-wide. Diverse hiring increased 35% across major airlines. Customer satisfaction scores rose 20% as inclusive practices spread throughout aviation. Federal legislation passed in the incident's wake continues protecting travelers. The Equal Treatment in Air Travel Act mandates annual bias training, anonymous reporting systems, and regular service audits. Zero-tolerance policies for discriminatory behavior are now industry standard. Jessica has completed her federal sentence and now works for a nonprofit helping formerly incarcerated individuals. She speaks at diversity training sessions about prejudice's devastating consequences. "I destroyed my career and hurt someone deeply because of my racist assumptions," she tells community groups. "I speak now hoping others won't make my mistakes." Her journey toward redemption remains ongoing, though she can never fully undo the harm caused or restore her former life. Sarah has become an international symbol of dignified leadership under pressure. The World Economic Forum, United Nations, and Harvard Business School regularly feature her insights on corporate responsibility and inclusive leadership. "That day taught me leadership isn't about position or power," Sarah tells global audiences. "It's about how you respond when your values are tested by hatred." Continental Airways established the Sarah Mitchell Center for Workplace Equality, a research institute studying discrimination in corporate America. Initial findings show measurable progress across multiple industries inspired by the airline's transformation. Educational institutions worldwide incorporate the story into curricula. Harvard Business School's case study, Crisis Leadership, the Sarah Mitchell Approach, is required reading. Stanford Graduate School offers courses on dignity under pressure executive decision-making. Sarah looks out her office window at planes taking off and landing. Each aircraft represents thousands of passengers now traveling with greater respect because one woman chose grace over anger when faced with hatred. People often ask if I regret what happened that day. Sarah reflects quietly. I don't. Sometimes it takes one public moment of truth to change an entire industry. Her voice carries the wisdom of someone who transformed personal attack into institutional progress. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video if you believe in equal treatment for all people. Subscribe for more stories of justice prevailing over prejudice. Follow at Sarah Mitchell CEO for daily insights on leadership, equality, and changing corporate America. Visit continentalairways.com to see how one company transformed an industry through accountability and inclusive practices. The next time you witness discrimination, whether on an airplane, in a store, or in your workplace, will you be like Diego and Marcus, who stood up and spoke out? Or will you be a silent bystander who lets injustice continue unchallenged? Remember, your voice has power. Your actions matter. Your choice to stand up can change someone's life forever. What will you choose? True leadership is measured not by how you exercise power, but by how you respond when power is exercised against you.